In this video, I'm going to put my skills as a landscape photographer to the test. I'm going to go out and take landscape images using nothing but this, my 70 to 200mm lens. So you're probably asking yourself, why would I limit myself to such a long focal length? Well, back in November I went to the Lake District and I met up with fellow landscape photographer and YouTuber Chris Sale. Now if you didn't see that video, I'll pop a link up on the screen in the top corner. But we were talking about perhaps doing some collaborations or giving each other some challenges. So when I got home, I had a look at Chris's portfolio and I came up with a good idea. So I sent him this video message. Hey Chris, do you remember back in November when we met up in the Lake District? We talked about giving each other some photographic challenges. Well, I've got one for you. I want to see you create some super wide landscape images. I want you to get yourself a 16 to 35 or an 11 to 24 and shoot it as wide as you can. I want to see you create landscape images with big foregrounds. I think it'd be a really interesting challenge for you and I'd be really interested in seeing the results. What do you think? So a few days later, I got this video message back from Chris.
Hi Julian, thanks ever so much for your message earlier in the week. I accept your challenge and of course I have one for you in return. Fairly predictably, I'm going to go for the other end of the focal length scale and challenge you to capture a set of landscape photographs using a telephoto lens. I want you to get out there and capture a series of images using your 70 to 200mm lens. Now, as part of my challenge, I plan to capture 3 photos and I suggest that you do the same. And when we're done, let's swap images so that we can do a review and pick our favourite. So until then, take it easy, mate, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with.
So as you saw there, Chris did accept my challenge and I, of course, will be accepting Chris's challenge in return. So that is why I'm going to go out and take landscape images using nothing but my 70 to 200mm lens. But I can't do that sitting here, so let's go out on location and take some landscape images. Good morning and welcome to Rip and Tour on Dartmoor. Now I've come here to take some shots with my 70 to 200 as part of my challenge, but this wasn't actually the original location I was going to come to this morning. I was actually going to go to Bellstone Common. Now you may remember Bellstone Common from a couple of videos back where I went up there and I caught some of the first snow in Dartmoor. I'll pop a link up on the screen if you haven't seen that video. So I put all my plans together yesterday to come to Bellstone Common in the morning and shoot some long lens shots. And then when I woke up this morning I was making coffee, I suddenly remembered that Bellstone Common is an MOD firing range. So I thought, yeah, I better check it's not active. And sure enough, when I went onto the Gov website, it was marked as being active day and night today. Today being the only day that I could come out and being the only day that they're firing on it, typical. But anyway, I had a secondary location planned. Not so much for morning, this was more going to be a sunset location, but I've come up to Rip and Tour anyway, because it gives me 360-degree views around Dartmoor, so it should work well both as a sunrise and a sunset location. So I'm going to have a little wander about. I've only shot up here once or twice, not with any great success, but I'm more hopeful this morning. So I'm going to have a little look about, see what I can find. I'll come back to you when I've got a composition. Okay, so for my first composition, I've picked out Haytor, which is just off there in the distance. So I'm going to use the leading line of the road as it snakes up through Dartmoor and around the side of Haytor. That should make for a nice simple composition and getting some quite nice light. Okay, I've taken a few images this morning, but you'll notice I probably haven't done much in the way of talking to camera and talking about composition and setup. Now this is because, as was normally the case with sunrise, once you start getting that golden light on the landscape, you kind of have to work with it as quickly as you possibly can, because it can be there 1 minute and gone the next. So I had to put down the video camera and I had to work really quickly to make the most of the light that I was getting. I'm not sure how many images I've actually got. You'll have seen them on the screen. Hopefully I've got all 3, but I'm not entirely sure. I might still have to go to a second location to get another image. But it has been hard work. It has been a challenge using the lens. But probably, to be honest, more of the challenge has been actually trying to get 3 images. Because normally when I come out, I'll set up, and I'll pick a composition, and I'll wait for the light, and I'll shoot all the way through that light as long as it's nice. But this morning I've really been trying to keep an eye out everywhere to see whether there's other compositions, and it's trying to decide, do I stay on this one, or do I turn around and I take that one, but do I miss better light in that one? So it's been quite tricky. Yeah, and definitely using the 70-200 lens has been a challenge, but it's been a fun challenge, and I think it's been good for me to try and pick out more details in the landscape. Anyway, I'm going to get back and post-process these images. Hopefully I've got 3. If not, I will see you at a second location. But apologies for not doing much talking to the camera, but I just had to prioritise on the photography. I'll see you in a bit. Hello and welcome to Sidmouth on the South Devon coast. So I've not actually come out today with the sole purpose of getting that 3rd long lens shot. I'm actually here shooting another video, but the weather is grey and overcast and very challenging. But the challenge of the weather has really got me to think outside the box, just like this long lens challenge is supposed to. So I've discovered a composition while I was walking along the beach that I think is going to suit the long lens really well. Let me tell you all about it. So like I said, I was walking along the beach and then I came across one of these stone groins. I think it's a groin. It's made up of really large boulders, but at the end of it there's one of those red pole markers. Now at the moment it's just isolated from the rest of the rocks because of the high tide. Now I thought, well, if I just pick out the marker using a long lens and isolate it from everything else and then do a long exposure, it can make for a really interesting image. I quite like my minimalistic coastal images. And one of the points of the challenge is that, I do try and think outside the box a little bit. I do try and do my landscape photography a little bit differently by using a longer lens. I would never consider coming down to a beach and getting my 70-200 out. But because of the bad weather and this challenge, it's actually, inspired me to actually do something a little bit different. So this could be quite interesting. Or it could be a terrible shot. I don't know. Okay, let me talk you through some of the setup that I've got on the camera at the moment. So I'm shooting at ISO 64 and I'm shooting at f2.8, which is a really unusual aperture to shoot coastal landscapes at, I would say. But what my idea is that I will isolate that groin marker from the rest of the background. Now, not as much of a background, I've got some sky, got some sea, but it drops the rest of it out of focus, and I think it gives it a really nice effect. And then on the front, I've got a couple of filters. So I put my big stopper on, the 10 stop filter, and I put a 3 stop filter on. So I didn't think the 10 stop would just quite give me the exposure time that I was looking for, because the lens, when it's open at f2.8, I think it gives me a shutter speed of about 1/100th of a second, which even with a 10 stop filter on is only 10 seconds. So with the additional 3 stops, I think it's going to take me up to about 45 seconds on that, which will just smooth out the sea just the way that I want it. So that's all I've really got in terms of camera setup. I think I'm about ready to take the picture. So why don't we give it a go and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, there you have the image. Now, I'm not entirely sure whether it works or not, but you've got to experiment sometimes. Sometimes you just got to do something a bit different, and I always do big grand vistas or big coastal shots. So I think the lens challenge has definitely got me to think a little bit differently. So I'll be really interested to see what Chris thinks of this image, because it is pretty different from what I would normally take. But anyway, that's me done here with Sidmouth and my long lens challenge. I'm going to get back home, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what images Chris has come up with. I'll see you in a bit. Okay, so I'm back home now and I've processed all my images and I've just emailed them off to Chris. So what's going to happen is Chris has obviously gone out and shot all his wide angle images, but at the end of his video, he'll be having a look at the 3 images that I've taken. So when you finish watching my video, head over to Chris's channel and watch his wide angle video, which will include the review of my images. So there'll be a link to that video in the video description below. Hopefully I'll pop it up in one of the corners here as well, and it will be on at the end screen of my video as well. So be sure to check that out. So of course, if Chris is looking at my 3 long lens photographs, I'm going to be taking a look at his wide angle lens shots. So let's do that now. So the first of Chris's images is this grouse butt up in Ravensworth Fell. Really nice wide angle shot there, shot at 17mm, got some really nice colour in the sky and off in the mountains there. So for Chris's second image, we've got this black and white wide angle shot from Beacon Hill, again shot at 17mm. Really great to see Chris pushing his lens all the way as wide as it can go. An interesting image. For me, I might have approached it slightly differently. I'm quite interested in that cross that's on the hill, but I can't really see where it is in the larger scope of the landscape, so perhaps I might have included a bit more of the background, but that's just my shooting style. Okay, so for Chris's final image, we've got this dawn shot of Howland Fell. Again, really good use of the wide angle lens shot at 17mm. Now, I really like this image. This is my favourite of the 3. Things that attract me to this type of image, it's also the type of image I would take, but I think it's a great composition. He's got the foreground rocks kind of make a triangular shape and kind of lead you out through the centre of the image, out onto the surrounding fells where there's a lovely dusting of snow, and then you've got that lovely morning sky. It's exactly the type of image I would take, and he's made great use of the wide angle lens here as well, because you've got all that foreground. You can almost imagine yourself standing in that very spot, looking out onto the fells and waiting for the sun to come up. Probably freezing. It looks cold up there. I expect it was, taken at that time of the morning, it looks cold. So he's got some great atmosphere in there, the image. I can really imagine myself being in that location, watching that scene and taking that image as well. So great work there, Chris. So there we have Chris's 3 images, some really nice work there. I haven't seen Chris's video yet, so I don't know the story behind these images, but I'm really looking forward to watching his video. So make sure you check out the video links in my video and see how Chris went about capturing those images. So we're just about to wrap up this video now. I've really enjoyed this challenge. I think it's been great, and hopefully Chris has enjoyed it as well. Getting myself just to use a long lens has been a bit of a challenge. Capturing 3 images was definitely a challenge, particularly in one shoot, so unfortunately I had to do it over 2, but actually being down at Sidmouth and capturing that image of the groin was really good to me. I would never have considered taking a long lens to a coastal location before, but because I was in that frame of mind, I managed to spot a composition that I probably would never have gone for before. So I think overall it's really kind of expanded my horizons to using my longer lenses a bit more when it comes to my landscape and seascape photography. So I've really enjoyed this exercise, and hopefully you've enjoyed watching Chris and I do our wide angle and long lens shots. So if you did enjoy this video, please do hit that like button and leave me a comment. I do try and read and reply to everyone's comments. Let me know what you thought about the images that I took with my long lens, and if there's any other challenges you'd like to see me take on. If you want to see more video content like this, please do hit that subscribe button, and if you hit the bell icon, you'll receive a notification as soon as I post up a new video. But until the next one, I'll see you then.